Hello.
Hi, Tasha.
How are you today, Liz?
I'm amazing. How was your day?
My day was a little challenging. So I did have some adversity going on in my life today, but nothing that I couldn't handle, and I think everything is getting taken care of. How was your day?
I had some blessings happen to me today.
Really?
Very, very, very successful day.
So tell me a little more about your day.
I
About
went grocery shopping.
you know what? I did
And
too.
I did you? I went grocery shopping and I got all the meat, everything that I'll need through Christmas. So that's a big, big, big blessing.
Nice. Nice. Well, that's good. So what's on the menu for Christmas? What are you cooking?
Steak and potatoes.
Yum. I'm a meat and potatoes kind of girl myself. That sounds good. I want
Simple
to eat
and
that
quick.
tonight. Huh?
It's simple and quick.
Oh, well, yeah, it is. It really is. All right, so I guess we can get right to it. Tonight we are talking about overcoming adversity. So I
Okay.
guess my first question for you tonight is how would you define adversity? Like when you say adversity, what do you mean?
When I say adversity, I typically mean the trials, the tribulations, the obstacles, the challenges, all the different things we face in life that keeps us less than our potential.
Okay. All right. So, um, you know what? I don't think I could have explained that better myself. I feel like adversity are situations, things, maybe even like people's personalities and things like that that threaten to keep us back or try to hold us back from what it is that we want to do in life. So, I agree. I agree with that. Um, so I guess you want to start off by telling us a time where you faced extreme adversity, or it doesn't have to be extreme, but tell us about a time you faced adversity.
I would say my very first time was when I had my first child and I was still a teenager myself
Mm,
and just legally trying to be responsible for him and mature enough for a baby. It was that I would say that was one of the most biggest obstacles I've ever faced. The most adversity came from being, I guess you would want. I guess I call it a statistic. A single mom, a teenage mom.
yeah. So, what were some of the challenges you faced as a result of having a child so young?
I couldn't get any assistance because I wasn't of age. They wouldn't allow me any public assistance with him.
Really?
Nope, not here. I had to try to put it in my mom's name, and we weren't even talking at the time.
Wow. Wow.
Yep,
So,
so that was hard.
I bet it was. I bet it was to be a teenager and try to raise a kid. I myself had my oldest son. Actually, today's his birthday. He's 21 today.
Happy
So,
birthday, son.
yeah, he's actually at work. He even has a brand new job that he's very proud of. So I'm very proud of my son. Happy birthday, son. So whenever you see this, happy birthday. I'm proud of you. Um,
Congratulations, son.
but yeah, I had my son early too. I had my son. I was 17, getting ready to turn 18. So I had him in December. I was 17, and then I turned 18. I turned 18 a couple months later in February. So I was a teenage mother as well. And as a result of having my son, I had to drop out of school. I just dropped out of high school my senior year, and so um, that was an adverse
Right.
situation that I went through as well. So I mean that's something that we can both connect on. So I really kind of want
Mhm.
to stay with this subject, because that's something that people are facing right now as we speak. So let's see. So how did you get through? How did you get through that situation?
I realized that I was responsible for more than just myself, and that his life depended on my mindset, on my actions. And so, I mean, I got a job, as many jobs as I could. I took as many side jobs as I could. I took as many side hustles as I could. I, at that point, decided that I'm just going to do anything within reason to feed this kid, to keep him alive, to strengthen him, to grow him, because he was such a little thing. And that's what I worked and I worked and I worked. And eventually it paid off because I got to a point where working just became so normal for me.
Yeah. Um, that's pretty much the same here. But I was fortunate enough to have my son's grandmother. I had my mom to help as well with my son. So pretty much it was like a community. It was a community between all of us. But I learned like I had to I definitely like he was my biggest blessing because like you said, it's like you realize that you're responsible for someone else's life now. Like, you didn't want to grow up then, but I mean, now that you have a child, you have to grow up pretty quick,
Hmm.
you know. Um and especially being so young, it's like you were a child yourself. Like,
Right,
I felt as if my son and I, like, we grew up together. It's like,
right.
even like right now, someone made a comment on the post uh that I just posted on Facebook for his birthday, and she made the comment, "Wow, you guys look like siblings." Well, in all actuality, I feel like we are siblings. Like, we grew up together. Like,
Right.
and I sometimes I want to apologize to him because it's like he was going through everything that I was going through right with me, you know. So, I mean, looking back, that was a time where I faced extreme adversity because, like I said, I had to drop out of high school, and I felt so bad. Like, I felt so down on myself because all of my peers they kept going, and I'm like,
Right.
I got this baby that I have to take care of. And, I had so many dreams of how my life should have turned out. And it just, it didn't go the way that I wanted it to go. Like, so, yeah. So as a result of you know, getting these jobs and things like that, how are things now? Like, what's the result of it? Like, what good came out of you having your son so early in life?
Oh, I've definitely progressed. I'm so much smart. Just raising a child into teenagehood, that's a big adversity, especially as a single parent. So some of
Hmm.
the experiences that he and I shared together and the things that we went through strengthened me so much. And I want to say I hope it strengthened him in the same ways to have the same type of work ethic. And so now it's like we're more partners, we're more teammates, all of us, honestly. And so it's taught me that in being responsible for them, I still allow them to grow and be themselves. And I know that there's not hardly no work that I can't do that I will make ends meet for them. So it's strengthened me. I believe in myself more because when I had him, I did not believe in myself much at all. It's like it takes a little person to force you to believe in yourself.
Hmm. It does.
And so now I have all this. I believe in myself. I believe in them. All the lessons that I learned, I hope I can just keep them from learning and as many people around me.
Yeah, I mean, that has been having a child that young. That has been like my biggest blessing because as I look back now, it's like it didn't stop me. Like, it didn't, at first it did threaten to stop me, of course, like, it did, but it didn't. And actually it created a drive on the inside of
Right.
me to, I ended up getting my GED, you know, and a lot of people don't know that about me, but I ended up getting my GED. And I just wanted better. I knew that I was better than that. You know what I'm saying? I knew that I was better than that. And I knew, I'm like, okay, well, since I had to get this GED, I'm going to go all the way to the top. Like,
Exactly.
and it's like seeing your kids and knowing the background that you come from, knowing
Right.
the ill will spoken against you, knowing all the things, all like the people who expected me to fail because I had this child so young. It's like at
Right.
first I was going down the path of what was expected to me of me, but having a child and knowing that you don't want your child to go through the things that you went through, you you go hard.
You
You
go
go
so
hard. It's like
hard.
you cannot just lay in the bed and sulk. You can't just, shrug things off. It's like you have to really work extra hard. And that's what happened as a result. I would see my child. Well, I started having kids after, that. So I had three others after
Right.
I got married at 21. No, 22.
21.
I got married at 22. I got married at 22, and I started having kids. So I had three other kids. So I mean, these kids depended on me. Like
Right.
I had to. Like I didn't really have a choice. So I say my kids were my biggest blessings. Definitely, for sure.
I agree. Definitely. Me as well.
Yeah. Um. So I have a question for you. So being that I know that we've talked about some of the things that you've been through in previous lives and um live recordings. not, not
I
not
got confused for a minute. Okay, we're back here.
live recordings, not like lives, but um we've talked about some of the things that we've been through, like some of the hard things that we've been through, but not in very much detail. But if I could ask you a question, like, how do you define failure? Do you feel like you failed in any of the situations that you've been through? Like, if you had to give me a definition of failure, what would that be? What does it look like to you? What does failure look like to you?
Not trying, not proceeding forward, staying still too long or getting too comfortable. I don't see failure the same as people because I don't feel like because you try to do something and you can't, that means failure. I mean,
Mhm.
failure is when you completely just stop trying. I don't think it's a certain amount of times. Like it may take you 5, 6 times to learn something and accomplish something, but as long as you keep trying and you continue to move forward, I don't see the failure in that. I see the failure in giving up. Giving up is my definition of failure.
Absolutely. Someone in the comments, they agree with you too. They said giving up. And Steve
Oh,
also
I
had
can't even see the comments.
you have to push comments on the side.
Okay.
You see him?
Okay.
All right. He says, with having a child at a young age, do you guys feel that you're a lot more mature minded than your peers, your same age?
Very much.
I feel that too. I feel that too.
Very,
People
very
can't
much so,
can't even.
especially because I mean, first of all, those kids having parents to count on. Back when I was a teenager, those parents have home. Those kids have home stability, parents, uh, all these different discipline, guidance, all these different things that I didn't have until I had put those things in motion for myself. Like I got to be disciplined if I want this kid to be disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
I have to learn to guide myself if I want to guide this tiny little person. I have to give him a reason to respect me, and so I really worked hard to gain their respect because I didn't want to just walk around being the type of parent that demands all this respect but don't deserve it.
That's right. And yes, I will agree. I definitely had to mature. Um, I know I stopped going out like I did. Like I experienced a lot being young. So my sisters and her friends, they were older than me. So I used to hang out with them and do the things that they did. So I got all my fun out of the way very
Me
early.
too.
I was doing things that I probably should not have been doing super
Me
early.
too, which is why I end up being a teenage mother.
Absolutely. And so when you have a kid, it's like now it's no more of the clubbing, it's no
Right?
more of being wild and out in the streets and doing this and doing that. It's like now you have to make sure these kids have a stable home, have structure, have, wake up at a certain time,
Yep.
bath
Eat.
and go to bed at a certain time, homework and things like that. So it was like it was like, yes, I had to be mature. A lot of people are very surprised at how old I am, and how I get complimented a lot, just
That's
based
because you
on
look so young.
is that what it is?
You do. You really do.
Well, thank you. Thank
One
you.
of my viewers were like, she has a 22-year-old son. Like, how early are you guys having kids? And I'm like, no, she's not
Yeah.
that young.
I get that all the time. It's like, wait a minute, you have a 21-year-old? And I'm like, yeah, so let me tell you that I'm getting ready to be 40.
Exactly. You look
So,
beautiful.
well,
And
thank
I
you.
get that all the time too. I have guys asking my son if I'm his sister. No, that's my child. Just because
Thank
he's
you.
taller than me, that's still my child.
Yes. Well, I mean, I don't like, I would not take it back. I don't think I would change. I would not
I
change
wouldn't
a
either.
thing. I
I
would not
wouldn't.
change a thing. I would have my kid exactly the same time. And I mean, my kids are wonderful kids. Just because I had a kid at a young age, it did not affect anything. I think it
Right.
just, I don't know, maybe I think it made me more responsive to the needs of my kids, and I had the energy and the wherewithal to be able to raise them the right way.
And
So
that's a blessing. That's a big blessing.
yeah.
And I kind of had experience with children before I even had my first child because I helped my mom take care of my siblings my whole life. It was just her, my grandma, and the kids. So I was there to help her do whatever needed to be done. I learned everything at such an early age that kind of advanced me. So I didn't face as much personal adversity with that situation outside of people's opinions and hurting my feelings. And they love to make you feel bad about mistakes that you made or what seemed to be a mistake because it was the biggest blessing ever. So
Right.
outside of my emotions, I really knew how to take care of children and be stable because it's all I've ever done. It's all I've ever known.
Well, you probably are a nurturer. Like it seems to me anyway, just by getting to know you this over these last couple of weeks, it's like you are such a kind-hearted and spirited person. It's like that was in you, just to be a nurturer. So some people are just born with the knack to take care of people, and
Hmm.
I believe myself to be one of those people as well.
Hmm.
So
And
um
that explains your background in education and pretty much my nursing experience because I've been doing nursing and such that type of career since I was 18 years old. Like that was one of the first jobs I jumped right into when I had him because I knew that was the pay.
yeah, you know what, a funny story about that is I am a certified medical assistant. I wanted to
Really?
go into nursing too at first, but then I got a job. I was working, well, first while I was getting my medical assistant certification, I had an internship at Memorial Hospital in the ER. And so I seen a lot of things in the ER. And as I
Uh-huh.
was doing that as well, I had a job as a phlebotomist at the hospital. And it was then I found out that I was not cut out for nursing, because I had to draw blood on like these on sick patients, and they
Yeah.
would hate to see me coming. Like, they were
Hmm.
like, "You again?" Like, no, like, they were in pain, and I hated doing it because I did not want to hurt. I didn't want to cause pain. I didn't want to cause people any further pain. So I'm like, I want to help people, but I want to help people on the other side of the spectrum. Like, I could not take causing or inflicting pain on others. So I switched my whole career path, and I decided to go into education.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I like that because it shows that you're experienced in more than one life skill. So you always have something else to fall back on, which takes away a lot of challenges and a lot of obstacles when you don't have experience and degree. I know you do have all these things, but for the women that don't, they face so much more adversity than we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um. So I guess I probably should talk just a little bit about the adversity that I kind of uh I faced. And actually I'm a little nervous to kind of talk
I
about
feel that.
it because I hardly ever talk about it. And I know, like, the premise for these live discussions is for us to face some of the things that we've been holding, close to our hearts, and kind of express them so we can get over them and heal them, and get on with our lives or whatever. So, one of my biggest adversity that I've faced was the negative projections of other people.
Right.
And I've had that since I was a small child. Not from everywhere, but from some people who were close to me. I would hear very negative things, such as uh, I would never be anything.
Uh-huh.
I heard,
I've heard
I heard
that.
that. Yeah, I heard that I would never be anything. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't smart enough. I'll tell you this: it's like, when I was a child, I told you I spent a lot of time in my head because I was a very imaginative child. So I spent a lot of time in my head. I was a dreamer, and I wasn't very good in school. So I was the child that got the negative marks, the bad grades, and things like that. And so I would get in trouble all the time about my bad grades, and I just felt like a failure most of the time as a child. Um, and even growing up, like, when I got into, like, some of these abusive relationships, of course, you know abusive men, they want to tell you
Mm-hmm.
certain things to keep you down. They want to tell you you're not good enough. Nobody will ever want you, because you have these children. you know
Right.
they'll tell you all these different things. And I kind of jumped ahead of myself, but me not being able to achieve the marks that I wanted to achieve it in school, that really played a big part on my self-esteem, coming up. And I remember, plain as day, very vividly, moving out of town. So we moved to Georgia when I was in about third grade. We moved to Georgia, and I was the only Black kid in the class. And the teacher didn't like me, and the kids didn't like me because I was different. Like, I was different. I remember sticking out like a sore thumb. I would I would go into class, and I would just put my head down. I would put my head down, and I would cry all day
Aw.
long. Like, all day long, I felt like I just could not fit in. I could not do things right. So, and to add insult to injury, I ended up going to the eye doctor and needing eyeglasses. So I
Oh,
got
yeah. So
glasses,
they really picked on you.
and I was so, like, and they were bifocal.
Oh, that is not funny. I had to wear
They were
bifocals.
like this big. They were bifocals. I was proud of them at first, but then when I had to go to school with those things on, it's like it made everything worse. It really did. It made everything worse. And so I would try. I would try. I had to fight through these feelings and still pay attention in class and all of that other
Right.
stuff. But then when I come home, and I would get my report card, it would be terrible grades again. And so, of
Of
course,
course.
I would get punished and everything else. So, um, I learned from that's where all my negative self talk came from, because I just adopted the things that I was hearing. So that was like, the actual situations of how my negative self-talk got started. Um, so it wasn't until, well, actually, I think I did pretty good because as a result of hearing that I'll never be nothing, I'll never have nothing, I'll never make anyone happy, I'm a bad person. I don't want to use curse words and things like that, but
yeah, we're going to watch our lingo.
yeah, so it's like I'm this and I'm that, and I just wanted to prove them wrong. I wanted to prove them wrong. I wanted to prove my family members wrong. I wanted to prove those teachers wrong. I wanted to prove those toxic boyfriends wrong. And so I'm like, you know what?
Especially,
That's right. Especially him. So you know what? I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna get a job and I'm gonna take care of these kids. And that's exactly what I did. And when I enrolled into college, I was so nervous because I remembered my past experience with school.
Oh.
So I was really nervous because I didn't think I could do it. I really didn't think I can do it. But when I finally went and registered for school, I ended up on the dean's list every semester. Every single semester.
That's amazing. That's conquering all that adversity.
Absolutely. I even got inducted into the National Honor Society while I was in college.
Wow.
I graduated with high honors and everything else. And this is coming from a woman who I failed every subject when I was a young girl, but I come to realize now it's like some teachers are bullies. People are, it's like people bully people. It's like that was not a reflection of who I truly was. And it was up to me to dig deep to find out who I truly was and really show the world who I am, And so that's how I'm able to sit here right here before you right now with a master's degree in education.
Very, very impressive. And I think that should be motivational for some of our viewers if they ever felt down on themselves or if they've let other people program them to believe that they're less than what they are. Like just that from you should be so much encouragement.
Actually, I don't really, right here in this conversation, I'm sitting here like, wow, like, why don't you ever tell yourself these kind of stories? Like, I'm thinking that myself. It's like, why don't you ever tell yourself these stories? Like, I mean, life takes over, and you don't seem like you have a lot of time or whatever a lot of the time. But I mean, I guess it would be nice to just sit and just reflect over all the things that you've been through and how you've overcame them, And yeah,
and the theme of today is through it all. So,
What'd you say?
I said our theme for today is through it all. So it's discussing all of these different things that we came through and we're still standing and we're still strong. Not only that, but we're still beautiful, loving people and we're here to motivate everyone else. Like that is amazing. That's a blessing. All these blessings are coming.
That's right. And another friend of mine, she put a post on Facebook today and she was just talking about how, some things that went wrong or whatever in her day today. But, she had to remind herself to think about it as these things as being blessings for her. It's like using things that go wrong for us and actually looking for the lesson in it. And it's like, I had to remind myself just today, it's like nothing is happening to me. It's like everything is happening for me.
I love that.
Everything is happening for my greater good. It's like, yes, it hurts. Yes, it's like I'm learning to look back on certain things and not feel any emotion to it. Look at it solely for the lesson and where it's gotten you to today.
And I do that so often. I always take every year around my birthday, and it's getting ready to be my birthday. I have what I call a life review. It's definitely a yearly review just to show myself how far I've come and all the things I've accomplished in this 1 year. Like, and I'm only 34. I'll be 35 on my birthday. Then I start thinking about all of the things I've overcome in this life and all of the challenges and obstacles and all of the people who just wanted to make it impossible for me to breathe and live and shine and be success because, people correspond with us according to their traumas and their beliefs and the things they've been taught. So
Mhm.
just trying to break free of all of that and separate myself to the point where I can say, I know I'm going to be successful because I'm going to keep trying until I am.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what has been your what has been your biggest success? Like looking back on all the things you've been through, like what has been your biggest success?
You know, that is awful that my answer is what my answer is. Just being alive literally
Mm,
is my biggest success at this point in life. Just being alive to tell my story, just being able to express myself without going into those traumas and being emotional all over again, just disconnecting myself from all those things that happened, just living because I had my life on the line more times than one.
wow. You said you had your life put on the line?
I've had my life put on the line numerous of times. I've put my life on the line for certain people, for certain things, for different situations in life. But literally, when I say my life, I literally mean like my life has been threatened before. So my biggest accomplishment thus far is being alive and vibrant, and not just alive and living, but alive and willing to be better and to grow and to be more, and to not let any of that change my way of living, my way of life, my genuineness.
Yes. 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 That right there, going through some of the things that we've gone through and still being able to keep our our genuine personality and our kind spirit, that is a blessing in itself. A lot of people go crazy, a lot of people lose their minds, a lot of
Yeah,
people go off the deep end, just experiencing like half the things that we've experienced. I myself, um I've had like two times where I've had near death experiences, and I also had a couple times to where I was in extreme danger as well.
really.
So it's like, absolutely, I've been through a lot of stuff that I feel like I'm not ready to talk about yet.
I
But
understand.
yeah, it's been one of these days though. It's gonna be, as we keep doing these lives and things like that, I feel like the time is going to come for me to finally express what I've been holding on to for a long time and just get over it, get rid of
Right.
it, you know.
Grow past it. I don't know if I would ever agree with the fact that you're going to get over it, because it just some things you can't get over. And but just growing past it and healing it and dealing with it is where I think we should be going with it, because it's just so many things that people always tell me to get over it. Like, yeah, that's easy for you to say because you didn't experience it, but you don't just wake up
Absolutely.
one day and get over trauma. It don't work like that.
Absolutely. You know, hold on. Victoria, are we still frozen? Are we still frozen? Someone said we were frozen. I guess we probably need to wait to see if if we're frozen. And while we're waiting, I guess I can say hi, Kyrie. Oh, okay. No,
Are we froze or are we good to go?
we're good to go now. She said. She said she
Thank
sees.
you, Victoria.
All right. So yeah, so it's funny that you said that because I made a post a couple of weeks, no, maybe a couple of days ago about people saying just get over it. Just get over it. When you go through extreme trauma, some of the things like you
Extreme.
described and like what I described, like you develop like post traumatic stress disorder. And from
Yes.
what I hear, or from what I was told by my therapist, I've started experiencing, it's called CPTSD. It's called complex post traumatic stress disorder. And what
Okay.
that is like being subjected to severe traumatic experiences over a long period of time. And so we experience the same thing as people who have went out and fought wars and came back with the post-traumatic stress disorder. Like certain
I got
things
the chills when you said that.
yeah, certain things trigger certain emotions. It's like like one moment I could be okay, and then somebody could say something, or if someone yells at me or whatever, it's like it'll trigger a whole different set of emotions, and I will retreat and go within myself and shut down. I think that's why I was having such a hard time at my job, because I just cannot be subjected to a lot of negativity because it triggers certain
where you start to feel attacked.
Yes, it triggers certain emotions in me to make me feel as if certain things are happening again that happened to me in the past. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm working through that, but no, people shouldn't just let it go. You have to revisit it. You have to revisit it. You have to be okay with it and remove the emotions and find out what lessons you learned from it, and you have to move on from it. So I agree. I said all that to say I agree with you.
And that's funny, because when you start to talk about, can you tell me that term, what the diagnosis for that one more time?
Yeah, it's CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder.
And that's funny, because some of the symptoms that you were talking about, like, I don't want to get way too off the subject, but experiencing traumatic sexual experiences as a child, in such a young age, the molestation and all these different things that we suffer as women, sometimes that I've suffered personally. Yes. If I feel myself in a certain situation where I feel threatened, or I feel like I'm outnumbered, or I automatically get like this fight or flight kind of thing, and I automatically want to start defending myself. And when you said that, I started thinking like that's probably got a lot to do with why I try to keep myself out of uncomfortable situations, because I could be very well in the presence of great people, but just the thought of me being in danger or outnumbered, and I turn into a crazy person, it's like, you guys don't even know, it has nothing to do with you. Like, it's all me.
Seriously, that is so true. It's like I used to be like a really outgoing person, but I have like I'm trying to come out of it now, but I developed social anxiety. So I don't like to be in crowded places. I don't like to be where there's a lot of people. You know, you turned yourself sideways.
I did.
Yes.
I didn't touch it.
I don't know what happened. You're sideways. I think we might be getting ready to lose her. Let me see. Nope. Yep, you turned yourself sideways. All right, well, while she's reconnecting, I guess I will address some of the things that you guys said in the chat box. So, Steve, you said y'all need to pat yourselves on the back and tell yourselves convincingly that y'all made it and all your struggles paid off in the long run. Cheers to you both. I really appreciate that, Steve. That was very beautiful. Thank you so much. It's very hard to give yourself credit. It's very hard to give yourself credit when you've been through so much, you know. But I'm so happy for these lives, because had I not had this platform to be able to get on here and actually talk to someone else, I don't think I would really be open and honest about giving myself credit about what I've been through. So that's actually, it leads right into what I was getting ready to talk to Liz about next. I was just going to ask her how getting through her adverse situations, how that made her view herself and her strength. And I guess I could talk about that myself. I feel like looking back on all that I've been through, she's coming back.
I'm so sorry. I know our viewers are probably so sick of my technical difficulties, but I don't know much about these devices. It turned me all upside down and around.
It's okay. No apologies needed. You're back, so it's all good. All right. So
Good.
I was trying to just keep on trekking without you.
I
So
love it.
so what I was gonna start talking about is being the fact that we have gone through these adverse situations, like looking back on all that you have survived, all that you have accomplished, like how do you view yourself? Like how do you view your strength? Like tell me a little bit about the woman you are today as a result of the things that you've been through.
So I like to start by saying that the way that I value things and accomplishments and success in this life has zero to do with anything material at all. Like no amount of degrees, no amount of job stability, no amount of owning things will ever give me this sense of accomplishment that I feel just from feeling like I am the gift. Like I am
Absolutely.
the accomplishment. I am the success. Like just me
Yeah.
being me. I know how to get through things. I know how to survive. I know how to, I'm street smarts. I'm very educated. I learned all this on my own. I quit
Right.
school. I quit school when I was in the 6th grade. I
Yeah.
had so many things to do at home, and it was just no time for no school at all. It was not in the plans. I was still in elementary. I graduated elementary, and then after that, school went downhill. So everything that I know, I taught myself or I learned from other people. So it's like I am the success that I'm, and it's so simple to me because it doesn't matter what I have outside of me. I know that no matter where I end up or what happens in this life, I'm going to be okay because it's all
Absolutely.
inside of me. Everything that I've ever worked for, I've had so many things get taken away from me on the outside over and over. And every
Mhm.
time I try to get bigger and better, and it's like a waste of time because I don't control what happens with those things. None of those things are mine. At
Right.
the end of the day, the only thing that I have is the knowledge that I've retained, the challenges that I've overcome that taught me the lessons that I know. Everything that is valuable to me is in me. So it's not going to be taken away no time soon.
Yes. Yes. You know what? You are in a very great position of power. That is a position of power to not be bound and attached to things. When you can detach from material things,
Mhm.
that is where the power is. It's like I
You
think of
think so?
myself. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like that is what's so hard for me right now. It's like I'm going through this transition, but I'm resisting it because I know it's going to be a period of time where I'm going to have to exit one thing and go into something else. So I really don't like things to be taken away from me. So
Right.
for you to sit here and say that you have had things taken away from you and you just don't have an attachment to things. I mean, what I've worked for has been me. Like,
Thanks.
that's like I like that has helped me to find well to define who I am, I guess, in which I know I need to come out of it. Like
Right.
that's the whole essence of this spiritual awakening. It's
Grow
like
out of
coming
it.
out,
You don't.
yes, grow out of it. Like,
Mhm.
that's the whole essence. Like I'm learning to not be so defined by proving somebody else wrong, but
Right.
getting
Exactly.
back to me and what genuinely makes me happy. And it's not going to school to get this because I wanted to go get my
Exactly.
doctorate degree, but I'm like,
Oh,
well,
did you?
why are you really getting a doctorate degree? So you can say you have a doctorate degree in
Yeah.
XYZ so you can continue to prove whoever wrong. Like, like why do you need that? It's like, I don't know. So
And it's I just spent about 3 hours on the phone today with the student loan people. Mind you, I would say I haven't been to college in maybe 15 years, 10 years, something like that.
mhm,
And I still owe these people so much crazy amounts of money for a degree that I did obtain. And but the work is just it just wasn't for me. Ultimately, I'm still paying for a mistake. I feel like me going to school for that was my biggest mistake. And it's mainly because I forced myself to do something. I wanted to
right.
hurry up and prove people wrong. I wanted to hurry
Yes,
up and show my worth. I
yes,
felt like I had to prove to y'all I'm worth it. And
yes.
at the end of the day, that whole degree, all that is worth nothing to me.
That's
It really
right.
is. It doesn't do anything for my soul, because I'm a soul driven person. It doesn't do anything for my spirit, anything for my soul.
That's right. Cause yeah, and you're right. And that's what I'm experiencing. That's exactly what I'm experiencing now. It's like you have this, but your passion is to actually get your hands dirty and go in and help people. Like,
Right.
it's like you can have all the things on the wall, but if you feel like your gifts are not being utilized, and it's all for nothing. It's all for
It
nothing.
is. It is. It's all for other people's approval of us. And we do a lot of things we do a lot. I've sold myself out. I've sold myself short just for people's approval before. And it's never, ever worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a commenter on here who says that we've been programmed to think we need a degree to make it. And really,
I
that's
love that
true.
word.
That's true. It's like, even, when my oldest son was in school, he was in high school. And I remember the teacher reaching out to me, and she's like, well, your son is getting written up or something because he didn't bring a pen to class. And this was a writing class. And he's a child still because he's in high school. And first of all, these days, kids are not even going to school. It's like,
No,
really?
they're going to
You
hang
gonna
out.
call me? You gonna call me about a pen? Like, this child is at school where you can physically see his face. True enough, he does need to come prepared, but give him
Right.
a pen. Like, it's like,
Yeah, you teach him this lesson. He's on your shift is how I call it. But I took my kids out of public school a long time ago, and I started homeschooling because I just wasn't liking all of the different altercations and the chaos and it was this for me. The teachers wanted to reprogram, and I love that word. Like I said, they wanted to deprogram what I put into my kids as far as what I hold valuable in our life, and they wanted to reprogram them. So how can you tell them what I'm teaching them to be of value is of no value?
absolutely.
Simply because you don't value it. And that was like the last straw for me. And kids get in a lot of trouble at school and catch a lot of different cases that I wanted to save my children from. So I much rather spend day and night teaching them whatever I can, versus sending them there and letting them be on someone else's shift and on someone else's time who don't know how to correspond to my child the way that I do. So I caught a lot of slack about that from everybody I know.
Yes. It's really important for educators to try to get to know and understand a child, not just academically. Like,
Right.
It's really important for educators to get to know a child, because children come to school with so much. They come carrying so much,
Exactly.
and they come, looking for someone to understand them, and just because we are adults, like, just because we are the adults, we don't know it all. Like,
Right.
we don't know it all. We don't. And it's like, I feel like educators need to be more empathetic when it comes to teaching certain kids, or all kids anyway. Like,
All kids.
everyone is not the same. I don't know how we got into that. So we could kind of go back to where we were talking about, because I think I deviated from what we were
I think
talking
it's your turn to answer the question. What was the question you just asked me?
Oh, looking back at all that we've been through, how do I see myself now?
Okay.
And okay. So I feel like, looking back on all that I've been through, and I have been through a whole heck of a lot, I feel like I am a very, very strong and resilient woman. I feel like I don't give myself enough credit for being as strong as I have been.
Right.
Even, raising these kids, going through some of the things that I've been through. It's been a long, long, long road, but I definitely feel like I'm a very strong and capable woman that is destined for great things. And I need to realize that. So looking back on my adversity has definitely taught me that I can and I will get through anything that's thrown my way.
Right. Exactly.
So,
And so
uh,
that's a different level of accomplishment, I believe, because that accomplishment comes from within you, and it's that's where the power lies. No one can tell you anymore who you are and what put those bad thoughts into your head anymore, because you know who you are now.
absolutely. Absolutely. That's
Love
it.
that. I love that.
All right. So if you, I think this is okay. So we have about 10 minutes left
Okay.
until we need to wrap up. This is the point of time where we could take some questions from commenters. So if you are watching this and you have any questions that you would like to ask of us, feel free to drop your questions in the comment box. And while we're waiting for them, um, Liz, I'm going to ask you. Um, I'm going to ask you a question. One last question.
Okay.
Um, so, how do you handle the stresses of your life? Like when you face adversity right now, like how do you handle the stress of it all?
That's so funny that you asked me that question, because I've been trying to stay here in the moment as Liz instead of allowing all this higher power to get in control. But that's how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very spiritual. I believe in the ultimate type of God. Like I believe in the strength, the source, everything, all of that is outside of me. I just tap into the connection, and that's honest to God. Like I know, I'm just this little bitty person in this big old world, but when I tap into my belief system and how big God is and how amazing He is, and the universe and all the energies, like I'm so much bigger. And so I would never try to take the credit for that. Like this is has never been me. I pray and pray and cry and pray and meditate, and I do anything I can to try to get the messages from my higher self, from other people through their higher self. Like I just stay so connected to spirit. Like I honestly would never ever try to take the credit for anything that I've made it through. It's never been me. I've always had this bigger self, higher, huge self outside of me. And all I have to do is believe in it and trust it and connect with it.
Yes. Yes. Well, you're doing a really good job. You're doing a very
I'm
good job.
trying. I'm
Yeah.
trying,
Well,
girl.
you don't have to try. It's effortless for you. You've tapped
It's
in so
not,
much
because
that
I
it's like
I work so hard on it. I really do. I really work,
you
because
work.
sometimes I'll start thinking things about getting rid of people out of my life, and I'm like, I know spirit is telling me to get rid of this person because they're holding me back or they're blocking me or something's wrong. I don't like the way it feels. And I convince myself I'm crazy. Like, girl, you're just making up stuff. And so I go through it and I go through it. And then finally I listen to them, and they're always right. I need to learn how to listen to them.
Yes. Well, you're not the only one, apparently. I think a lot of people need to learn how to listen to them, you know. Um, Steve says, I might be wrong, but I think you're definitely strong, but you lack the confidence in yourself to follow through with your dedication. Steve, if you're talking to me about being strong, you are absolutely right. I do. I do lack the confidence in myself, and that's one thing that I am working on. That's a struggle that I am actively working on.
I
Um,
do believe he might have been talking to me, and he's right. He absolutely is, because the things and the people and the ways of the world will have anybody doubting themselves. People
mhm.
are cruel, and the world ain't no nicer. Like, you going to go through things out here, and it's just all about how you let it affect you.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm definitely. I mean, as I'm growing in this spiritual journey, it's like I'm understanding that I'm an empath. I'm a deep feeler. So a lot of the times too, I'm feeling the emotions and energy of other people, and I'm thinking that they're mine, and I'm
Yep.
learning how to deal with that as well. It's like when you are a healer, or you are a teacher, or you are a person that's there put in the world to guide others, you have that innate ability to connect to someone else's emotions and feelings and energy and things like that. So I'm still learning how to decipher what's mine and what's not, you know. And that's
Right.
why I lack the confidence sometimes, because I'm still trying to figure it all out. You know, this is all new to me.
Which I think we all are, and I think we'll all be trying to figure it out until we pass this life, until we die. Like, this is something that's going to continuously happen, no matter how much you grow and how much you think you strengthen yourself. And I just feel like I sound like a complete fool to say that it'll ever stop, because I just don't think it will.
That's right. And so, with that being said, I guess this live stream tonight has been very helpful. This has been like the most beneficial one for me, because I was able to reflect. You know, I mean, life would be nothing without reflecting how
Right.
far you've come, like, you know, on the things, like reflecting on the things that you've overcame and where you are today. So I want to say thank you for sitting here and letting me reflect with you and get to know you on a more personal level. Is
You're
there
very
anything
welcome.
else that you want to ask me before we go?
Well, I don't think I asked you many questions. I do want to ask you one question, because
Okay.
we're talking about basically the different things that we've been through. I,
Mhm.
I want always end on a great note. Like, so out of all of the adversities that you say you faced,
Mhm.
which one has taught you the biggest lesson?
You know, I'm going to go and say the adversity of negative projections of people. Like
Okay.
me still continuing to thrive and strive for better, even though I had so many negative projections spoke against me. I feel like that has made me who I am. Like that
Uh-huh.
really built my determination on the inside. It's like, had it not been for that, I think I would have been more lax. I don't think I would have went as hard as I went to become the woman that I am today. So,
Right.
yep.
I love that answer.
So, same question to you before we end.
I would just simply say aloneness. I am a person who never liked it to be alone. I was always afraid of being alone. So then when I got the opportunity to spend a lot of alone time, I realized that I actually honestly love myself, and I love being alone. And I honestly would rather not share my time with anyone except me right now at this point. So aloneness has been my biggest adversity that taught me my biggest lesson, that I can be alone. It's okay.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I bet you learn a lot about yourself when you're alone.
Oh yeah, I study
Your mind
myself.
is clear. All right. Well, with that being said, it is time to wrap this live up. Um, we want to thank you guys for joining us again tonight. I see some of the same people who have been joining us for the last couple of days, for the last
Okay.
3 days. I want to say thank you for returning. Thank you for lending us your energy and your good vibes. And we invite you to come back again tomorrow. We will be here live again at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and or 8 Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow's theme is Free Your Mind Friday, and we will see you soon. Peace and blessings to you all until tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.